American pop singer and actor David Johansen died on February 28, 2025. He was 75 years old. At the time of his death, he was the last surviving New York doll. He was born on January 9, 1950. He sang in a local band from his hometown in Staten Island called the Vagabond Missionaries as a teenager before joining the New York Dolls in 1971. The band's co-leader, Johnny Thunders, would collaborate with Johansen on most of the band's material. His gritty guitar style, along with Johansen's flamboyant showmanship, created a proto-punk dynamic that would be influential in the later punk and new wave scene that would come a few years later. The classic lineup of the New York Dolls would record 2 albums before alcohol, drugs, and a fast-paced lifestyle would cause the band to implode during an ill-fated tour of Florida in the spring of 1975. A few months later, the Dolls would get back together when Johansen and Sylvain recruited several new members to replace Johnny Thunders and drummer Jerry Nolan, who went on to form the Heartbreakers, and bassist Arthur Kane, who had his own band called Killer Kane. The new New York Dolls would last for another year before they went their separate ways. David Johansen would go solo with his new band called the David Johansen Group. The David Johansen Group would record 4 studio albums and 2 live albums before disbanding in the mid-'80s. Tired of being a rock and roll singer and the stigma of being a New York doll, after taking a break from music, Johansen became an actor and appeared in several movies during the 80s before reinventing himself as Buster Poindexter, a classic pop singer who sang blues, dance, and swing songs. After recording 4 studio albums as Buster Poindexter in the late 80s and 90s, Johansen changed his image once again along with his style of music. This time in the early 2000s, he re-emerged as a folk blues singer with his band David Johansen and the Harry Smiths. In 2004, after refusing to reunite with his old surviving bandmates, David Johansen, Sylvain, and Arthur Kane reunited on stage and performed as the New York Dolls on June 16, 2004 at the Royal Festival Hall. This reunion was made possible by one of the Dolls' biggest fans, Morrissey, who had been trying to reunite them for years. Sadly, Arthur Kane would die not too long after the reunion from cancer on July 13th at the age of 55. The New York Dolls with Johansen and Sylvain would record 3 studio albums before retiring the name for good in 2011. Sylvain would die from cancer on January 13th, 2021 at the age of 69. Johansen, however, would continue to perform solo shows in clubs until he retired in 2020 at the age of 70 when he was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer along with a brain tumor. In November of 2024, he fell and broke his back in 2 different places. That's when his health really went into a downward spiral and died in his Staten Island home on February 28, 2025 from cancer. I hope you have enjoyed this episode of Cuppy's Music Curios. My name is Cuppy, and I hope to see you soon. Cheerio!